The Silk Road stands as one of history's most significant networks of trade routes, connecting East and West for over 1,400 years. More than a single path, it was a complex web of interconnected routes that facilitated not only the exchange of goods, but also ideas, technologies, religions, and cultures across vast distances. Stretching approximately 4,000 miles from China to the Mediterranean, the Silk Road fundamentally shaped the development of civilizations across Asia, Europe, and Africa. The Silk Road's origins trace back to the Han Dynasty's expansion westward during the 2nd century BCE. Emperor Wu of Han, seeking to forge alliances against the nomadic Xiongnu Confederation, dispatched Zhang Qian on diplomatic missions to Central Asia around 138 BCE. Zhang Qian's journeys, though initially unsuccessful in their diplomatic goals, opened Chinese eyes to the wealth and possibilities of westward trade. The routes initially developed organically as merchants sought to profit from the stark price differences between luxury goods in different regions. Chinese silk, which gave the route its name, was particularly prized in Rome and throughout the Mediterranean world. The Romans paid premium prices for this exotic fabric, creating a lucrative trade opportunity that justified the risks and costs of long-distance commerce. During this early period, the Parthian Empire controlled crucial segments of the route, acting as intermediaries between Romang and Chinese merchants. The Parthians carefully guarded their role as middlemen, preventing direct contact between the two great empires and maintaining their profitable position in the silk trade. The Silk Road reached its classical flourishing during the Remang Empire's height and the Tang Dynasty's golden age. The Kushan Empire, centered in modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan, emerged as a crucial facilitator of trade during the 1st to 3rd centuries CE. The Kushans controlled the vital mountain passes through the Hindu Kush and Karakoram ranges, collecting taxes and providing security for merchant caravans. Buddhism spread extensively along these routes during this period, with merchant communities and travelers carrying religious ideas alongside commercial goods. The Silk Road became a conduit for Buddhist art, architecture, and philosophy, evident in the cave temples of Dunhuang, Bamiyan, and Kizil. Monks traveled these routes as pilgrims, translators, and teachers, establishing monasteries that served as rest stops and cultural centers. The Sogdians, Iranian-speaking peoples from Central Asia, emerged as master merchants and diplomats during this era. They established trading posts throughout the network, from their homeland in modern-day Uzbekistan to China and beyond. The Sogdians were multilingual, multicultural intermediaries who facilitated communication between diverse peoples and became essential to the Silk Road's operation. The rise of Islam dramatically transformed the Silk Road's character and reach. The rapid expansion of the Islamic Empire in the 7th and 8th centuries brought much of the trade network under unified political and religious influence. Islamic merchants, protected by Islamic law and united by common commercial practices, could travel more safely and efficiently across vast distances. The Abbasid Caliphate's capital at Baghdad became a major hub of Silk Road commerce, while cities like Samarkand, Bukhara, and Isfahan flourished as centers of trade and learning. The Islamic Golden Age saw unprecedented exchange of knowledge, with scholars translating Greek, Persian, Indian, and Chinese texts into Arabic, creating a vast repository of human knowledge that traveled along the trade routes. During this period, the Silk Road expanded to include maritime routes through the Indian Ocean, connecting with overland paths at various points. The development of improved navigation techniques, including the use of the compass and astrolabe, made sea travel more reliable and profitable for certain goods. The Mongol Empire's establishment in the 13th century created unprecedented conditions for Silk Road trade. Under Mongol rule, the routes enjoyed political unity and security from China to Eastern Europe. The Mongols' religious tolerance and promotion of trade created what historians call the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace that facilitated extensive cultural and commercial exchange. While silk gave the route its name, the Silk Road carried an enormous variety of goods. Central Asia contributed horses, jade, and precious stones. From China came silk, tea, porcelain, lacquerware, and spices. The Islamic world traded in glassware, carpets, and metalwork. India provided spices, precious stones, ivory, and cotton textiles. Europe contributed gold, silver, and later, when the routes connected to the Americas, New World crops and precious metals. Everyday items like ceramics, tools, and foodstuffs also traveled these routes. The trade wasn't limited to luxury goods. The exchange of crops was particularly significant, with rice, wheat, and various fruits spreading to new regions. The introduction of new crops often revolutionized local agriculture and diet. Perhaps most importantly, the Silk Road facilitated the exchange of technologies. The Chinese inventions of papermaking, printing, and gunpowder gradually spread westward. Islamic innovations in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine traveled in all directions. The magnetic compass, originally a Chinese invention, was refined by Islamic scholars and eventually reached European navigators. The Silk Road served as a highway for ideas, religions, and artistic styles. Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and Manichaeism all spread along these routes, often blending with local traditions to create unique syncretic forms. The famous Dorian stele in Xi'an, erected in 781 CE, demonstrates how Christianity adapted to Chinese cultural contexts. Artistic styles merged and evolved as they traveled. Gandhara art, combining Greek, Ramang, and Indian influences, exemplifies this cultural fusion. Chinese artistic motifs appeared in Islamic art, while Islamic geometric patterns influenced Chinese decorative arts. The famous Tang San Cai ceramics show clear influences from Central Asian and Persian artistic traditions. Languages also spread along the Silk Road. Persian became a lingua franca for much of the route, while Arabic served similar functions in Islamic territories. The exchange of languages facilitated not only trade, but also the translation and transmission of literary and scientific works. Several cities became legendary as Silk Road intrepids. Chang'an, the Tang capital, was the eastern terminus and home to over 1 million people at its peak. The city hosted merchants, diplomats, and travelers from across the known world. Samarkand, in present-day Uzbekistan, became synonymous with wealth and cultural sophistication under various rulers, including Tamerlane in the 14th century. Constantinople served as the western terminus, where Asian goods entered European markets. The city's strategic location between Europe and Asia made it a natural hub for transcontinental trade. Other crucial centers included Kashgar, Turfan, and Khotan in Central Asia, each controlling vital oases and mountain passes. These cities developed sophisticated commercial institutions, including banking systems, standardized weights and measures, and legal frameworks for international trade. The growth of these urban centers created demand for agricultural products and manufactured goods, stimulating economic development across the regions they served. Parallel to the overland routes, maritime trade networks developed throughout the Indian Ocean, connecting China, Southeast Asia, India, the Persian Gulf, and East Africa. These sea routes, sometimes called the Maritime Silk Road, carried many of the same goods and ideas as their overland counterparts. The maritime routes had several advantages. They could carry larger quantities of goods, were less affected by political instability on land, and connected to ports that became major commercial centers. Cities like Malacca, Colombo, and Hormuz became crucial nodes in this maritime network. Chinese Admiral Zheng He's voyages in the early 15th century demonstrated the potential of maritime trade. Though China's subsequent turn inward left the field open for European merchants and later, European colonial powers. The Silk Road's decline began in the 14th century due to multiple factors. The collapse of the Mongol Empire fragmented the political unity that had facilitated trade. The rise of the Ottoman Empire created new barriers between Europe and Asia as the Ottomans controlled crucial routes and imposed heavy taxes on European merchants. The devastation of the Black Death in the 14th century disrupted trade patterns and reduced demand for luxury goods. Political instability in Central Asia, including the rise and fall of various successor states to the Mongol Empire, made overland travel increasingly dangerous and unpredictable. Most significantly, the development of maritime trade routes around Africa provided Europeans with direct access to Asian markets. Vasco da Gama's voyage to India in 1498 demonstrated that sea routes could be faster, safer, and more profitable than overland alternatives. The establishment of European trading posts and colonies in Asia gradually shifted the center of east-west trade from the overland Silk Road to oceanic routes. The Silk Road's economic impact extended far beyond the immediate profits of individual merchants. The network created the world's first truly international economy, establishing trade practices and financial instruments that would influence commerce for centuries. The development of credit systems, standardized currencies, and commercial law codes enabled merchants to conduct business across vast distances without carrying large amounts of physical currency. Banking houses emerged along the routes, with families like the Sogdian merchants establishing financial networks that spanned continents. These early banks provided services including currency exchange, credit letters, and insurance for merchant caravans. The complexity of these financial arrangements rivaled those of much later European banking systems. The Silk Road also facilitated the development of international commercial law. Merchants from different legal traditions needed common frameworks for conducting business, leading to the creation of standardized contracts, dispute resolution mechanisms, and trade regulations that transcended political boundaries. The Silk Road's impact on world history cannot be overstated. It facilitated the first truly global exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures, creating connections that shaped the development of civilizations across 3 continents. The routes established patterns of trade and cultural exchange that influenced diplomatic relations, religious development, and technological progress for centuries. The Silk Road also contributed to the development of international law and commercial practices. The need to conduct business across cultural and linguistic barriers led to the creation of standardized contracts, banking systems, and dispute resolution mechanisms that became foundations of modern international commerce. Modern scholarship has revealed that the Silk Road was far more complex and diverse than once thought. Rather than a single route dominated by Chinese silk, it was a network of interconnected pathways carrying a vast array of goods and ideas. The routes were constantly evolving, adapting to political changes, technological innovations, and economic opportunities. The concept of the Silk Road has experienced a remarkable revival in the 21st century. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, explicitly references the historical Silk Road while proposing new infrastructure projects to connect Asia, Africa, and Europe. This modern interpretation seeks to recreate the economic benefits of the historical routes using contemporary technology and transportation methods. The historical Silk Road continues to capture imaginations and influence policy discussions about international trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation. Archaeological discoveries along the ancient routes regularly reveal new insights into how these networks operated and influenced human development. The The Silk Road represents one of humanity's greatest achievements in creating connections across vast distances and cultural differences. For over a millennium, it served as the primary conduit for exchange between East and West, facilitating not only commerce but also the spread of ideas, technologies, and cultures that shape the modern world. The network's success depended on the cooperation of diverse peoples, the development of sophisticated commercial institutions, and the willingness of merchants and travelers to undertake dangerous journeys in pursuit of profit and knowledge. While the original routes may have faded in importance, their legacy continues to influence how we think about globalization, cultural exchange, and international cooperation. The Silk Road's history reminds us that human societies have always been interconnected, and that the exchange of goods and ideas across cultural boundaries has been a driving force in human progress. As we face contemporary challenges of globalization and international cooperation, the Silk Road's example of successful cross-cultural exchange remains both inspiring and instructive.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging historical content.